I'm here today with Glenys Nellist. Glenys was born and raised in a little village in northern England. She's the author of multiple children's books, including the best-selling Twas the Evening of Christmas, The Wonder That Is You, and the popular series Love Letters from God and Snuggle Time. Her writing reflects a deep passion for helping children discover joy in the world. She lives in Michigan with her pastor husband, David. So Glenys, it's so wonderful, as always, to be together with you, even if it's just virtually.
Oh, thank you, Brian. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I should have also mentioned that Glenys has participated in our children's book conference that we did this past fall, and also will be involved in the next children's book conference that we're going to be doing in May. So we're really thrilled about that.
Well, me too. It's a great connection for me, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
So Glenys, before we kind of dive into your new book, maybe you can kind of give us an overview of all the books that you've read.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been an amazing journey for me, Brian, to be sure. I started writing back in about 2008. I was working at a church alongside my husband, who did, as you mentioned, he's a pastor. And I was writing children's curriculum because it was expensive to buy. So I thought I'd just write my own. And it was then that I fell in love with rewriting the Bible stories and finding that there's always a new way to tell the old stories, you know. And so that's what sort of got me into writing. And my first book was published in 2014 with Zonda Kids. And I just, you know, I thought, wow, I got to publish a book. This is it, you know, I've arrived, sort of thing. And I never imagined that that book would become a series, but it did. So Love Letters from God is a series of 4 books. There's one just featuring all the girls and women in the Bible. That's Love Letters from God, Bible Stories for a Girl's Heart. We did an Easter one, a Christmas one. So that was what got me going in the publishing world back in 2014. And then I don't know, it just took off from there. My next little series was Snuggle Time, again with Zonda Kids, a series of board books written in rhyme. And after that, well, I kind of lose track of it, which is it's a good thing and a bad thing. But I met up with Discovery House. They're now called Our Daily Bread Publishing, and I did a little board book series with them called Good News. And then my most recent publisher that I've been working with, who are all my publishers are just wonderful. They're called Beaming Books, and with them I published Little Mole, the Little Mole series, Little Mole Finds Hope, and Little Mole's Christmas Gift, and the next one is Little Mole Goes to School. And those were a different foray for me because they're not written in rhyme and they're not Bible retellings. They're just sort of stories from my own imagination. So it was wonderful to explore writing in that way too.
That's really great. That's so cool. And those books, you know, one of them came out this last fall that we talked about, and I know it did really well. So I'm so glad about it.
Yeah, thank you. Mm-hmm.
So now the new book is called Twas the Morning of Easter, and it's the second of a series. The other one was Twas the Evening of Christmas. Is that the correct title?
Yep. Yeah.
And so tell us about, you know, how that first one came about and how it led to this new one.
Yeah, so I guess in that little roundup of my books, I didn't even talk about the Twas series. But again, I never imagined that it was going to become a series. But Twas the Evening of Christmas. This is it right here. So you can see gorgeous cover, and Zonda Kids just do a fabulous job with, you know, the production and finding great illustrators. But how that came about was, after I had published Love Letters from God, my very first book, my editor invited me for lunch. We were both in Grand Rapids, and I remember because I was super nervous and I really, you know, couldn't eat my salad, you know, because I was meeting with my editor. But during that lunch, she just asked me if I had anything else. beyond love letters from God. And I remembered that I had written, I think I'd done it for a Christmas production or something when I was writing for children's ministry in the church. And I just remembered that, so everybody's read the Clement Seymour classic, right? Twas the night before Christmas went all through the house.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, everybody can recite that off by heart. And so at some point, I don't even remember when, I must have picked up that poem and decided to rewrite it using the birth of Jesus as the main story. So this one begins, "'Twas the evening of Christmas when all through the town each inn was so crowded no room could be found." You know, so it uses the familiar,
Cool.
it was so fun to look at his poem and think, okay, how can I roll those elements into a book about Jesus, you know. So I had written that some years prior. So when my editor said, "Do you have anything else?" I said, "Well, I do. I have this poem I wrote based on the Clement Seymour classic, but you're probably not interested in that, right?" You know, it was just amazing because I might never have published. I mean, I might never have pitched it to her had she not just asked. I know, because this book went on to do so well. It's been used by so many children's pastors for Christmas Eve, and I wrote a little Christmas pageant, a free one to go along with that, that's been really popular in churches. And so this book was published, I think 2017, but so we're like, it's almost 4 years until like the sequel came out, "Twas the Morning of Easter," but it's still doing really well. And I think in part just because the illustrations are stunning.
Good. Well, this is also from Zonder Kids, right? Like the first one was.
Yes. Yeah.
And so tell us about the illustrator for this.
Well, I want to show you my favorite illustration in "Twas the Evening of Christmas." So she is called Elena Selivanova, and she is a Russian illustrator. I think she lives in Lithuania, because I got the Lithuanian translation. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't read a word, but it's awesome, you know. But just to give you a flavor of her sort of style.
Wow.
I know, it's just so gorgeous. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it was just wonderful how she took my words and did her thing, you know. And I remember having a conversation too about the cover with Zonder Kids. Elena had done 2 versions, and one was your traditional Mary and Joseph in the manger, the baby in the manger, and this was the other one. And we decided to go with this one just because it's a little different, but I just think it's so eye-catching, and it's clever how they've used the same sort of font as "Twas the Night Before Christmas."
Yes, you know? Of course. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So when this new book arrived, well, I have to tell you how that came to be, because it wasn't even my idea. It was amazing. It was my editor, again, the same editor who had said, "Do you have anything else?" She just said to me one day, "Have you thought about writing 'Twas the Morning of Easter'?" Yeah, I'm like, no, but I'll go and do it right now.
That's great. That's wonderful when publishers are coming to you asking, you know, if you thought about writing a new book on XYZ.
I know. So so then I just turned around, wrote it, and here it is, about to be released. Yeah.
That's so cool. And so it's the same illustrator, right?
Same illustrator, same. Isn't that cool? Beautiful. It's got the women at the tomb, same font used there, same size, you know, a jacket cover. And this one, I'm excited about this for a few reasons, but one is that, you know, it is hard for a children's author to write an Easter book that without sort of having to talk about the violence of the cross. You know, it's a big discussion in children's ministry circles. My earpiece keeps falling out. I've got small ears. But this book begins after the death of Jesus. You know, in some ways you can't get to the resurrection without the death of Jesus. But I know that we have to be really careful about the details, you know, and what we share with children about the crucifixion. And were I to go back and rewrite Easter love letters from God, I might write that differently. But, you know, I was a different writer back then, and I've grown and learned, and it's become important to me to listen to other children's ministers and their concerns, and also parents. And so this book does not address the crucifixion at all. It begins after Jesus has died. And so that's the first thing I'm excited about, is I managed to circumvent, you know, all that hard writing. The second thing is, it really is Mary Magdalene's story. And, you know, she has such a central role in the whole resurrection. She was the first preacher, you know. She was the one who stayed with Jesus to the very end, followed him to the tomb when all the men had fled, you know. So I'm excited it's Mary's story, really.
That's cool.
Yeah. And this one begins like this. This is the opening spread. And this one begins, "'Twas the morning of Easter before the sun rose. 2 guards on a hillside were just trying to doze. You see, Jesus had died only 3 days before. A huge stone had been placed to seal the cave door." So, you know, that's the beginning. So, you know, Jesus has died, but there's no details about that. Yeah. So
I love the way that you're using the same rhyming, you know, as the original Night Before Christmas.
Yeah, I know. It's just so fun to do, you know, to find those little details that he wrote and to somehow weave them. I love that kind of challenge. I'm just going to show you one of my favorite spreads, which is when the earthquake happened and the stone is rolled away and the guards are falling. And yeah, so she is a phenomenal illustrator.
That's really great.
Yeah.
You know, partnering with her.
I know.
So in addition to the book itself, you know, I know that there are some supplementary resources available. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess that's the third reason I'm excited about this book. Because so in my previous life, before I wrote full time, I was a teacher in England. And so developing resources and curriculum and supplementary materials to go along with my books, it's just a joy, you know, it's just something I love to do. So I think I mentioned for the Christmas book, for 'Twas the Evening of Christmas, I wrote a free downloadable resource pack that contained a Christmas pageant, because every church puts on a Christmas pageant, you know. So for this book, I've done the same thing, and it's just in the process of being designed by Zonda Kids. So I wrote it and they're going to design it, and it's going to be available any day now. But in that, I thought, well, if we can include a Christmas pageant, let's do an Easter one, you know.
Sure.
But because we're living in these strange days of COVID, and, you know, so many churches now are virtual, which they should be, it's just a challenge, isn't it, for children's ministers to find resources and ways to stay connected with their families. So the pageant for this book it can be presented in 3 different ways. It can be acted out in person in churches, if your church is back in person, or it can just be used by families at home. Or the third one is it can be used virtually. So it can be pre-recorded, and then you can show it to families either, you know, part of an Easter Saturday event or Easter Sunday. So it was a bit of a challenge to you know, look at how to present it in that virtual option, but I think I did it. So I'm super excited. I like a challenge, and the pageant is based entirely on the words of the book. So it's just a narrator. You have a narrator that reads the script, and then just actors that act it out silently, really. So yeah, I'm really excited to offer that.
Excellent. Well, I'm really glad that you made it so that it's so adaptable to the different situations that people are in right now.
Yeah. Well, I hope it will be a useful resource for people.
Now, the release date for the book itself is
Mhm.
February 2nd. Is that correct?
Yep, February 2nd.
And you said these the supplementary materials are going to be available in advance of that?
Yes, I'm expecting them to arrive any day now. Anxiously checking my email every day.
Good. Well, it's
But yeah, Zonda Kids have a great marketing and design team. And, you know, the one that they did for Twas the Evening of Christmas was wonderful. So I'm expecting it's going to be great. And as soon as it arrives, I'll be offering it to churches and children's ministers. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Well, we'll all be looking forward to that. And I mean, anything you can tell us about for the future without divulging anything that's secret?
Well, I did want to mention that for Twas the Morning of Easter, I will be doing a virtual book launch at Baker Book House. That's in Grand Rapids, but it will be broadcast live via Zoom. And so those are always fun events for me. We'll have a giveaway, and I'll read the book. I'll teach the kids a couple of songs. So that is on Friday, March the 19th at 6 p.m.
March 19th.
Yeah.
Okay,
March
great.
the 19th at 6 p.m. So a couple of weeks before Easter.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. But looking ahead to, when is it? October. The third book in the Twas series is coming. It's crazy. I just can't believe it.
You're on a roll.
I know. Yeah, sometimes I have to pinch myself. I honestly, it sounds cheesy, Brian, but I often say that I feel like God is the real author, and I'm just along for the ride. I do feel that, because without God, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, you know. So
good for you. I mean, that's a wonderful place to be.
I know. So, and I just have a passion to help children know God, you know. So the third one is Twas the Season of Advent. Yeah, and that was my biggest challenge yet in the Twas series, because of course that was much more, well, we took 25 days. I know Advent is probably longer, I'm not sure, but we just took December 1st to the 25th, and it's designed as 25 devotional stories for parents to share with children.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in the lead up to Easter. But it's all the Christmas story, so I had to find a way to spread out the whole without being boring. How can I spread out the Christmas story in 25 little chapters? But again, I think we did it, and the whole poem, it's a 25 stanza poem based on the Clement Seymour classic. So, and again, Elena is the illustrator. They're using lots of the images from Twas the Evening of Christmas, but that will be the third in the series. So it's just amazing to me.
Wonderful. That's so good to hear. I'm really glad that they're going so well and they're, expanding.
Thank you.
So, having gone through this whole saga, of writing all your books, what kind of advice do you have for new people or just getting started?
For new people, my number one tip, which I know we've shared this before, Brian, I feel like a broken record sometimes, but
oh no,
anybody listening who aspires to be a children's author, and if you feel that that's your gift and you're called to it, just don't give up. Don't give up, because it's an easy business to give up in. It's hard, but don't quit, don't give up. The second thing I would say is if you're serious about it, invest in your writing career, you know. Spend time, spend a bit of money on learning your craft. Join SCBWI, that's the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. Fabulous resources available worldwide. You'll get a support network, and it's not very expensive, but you'll learn a lot. And I think if you spend a little investing in your writing career, you're less likely to give up, you know, because you put money and effort into it. You know, so it will help you. The other thing I would say invest in is our second, you mentioned at the beginning that I was part of the Children's Christian Book online conference, the first one that sponsored by Writing for Your Life last year. Yeah, so I would say I'm going to give a plug for that. Aspiring authors, register. The registrations are not open yet, are they?
Not open yet, but the dates have been set. It's going to be May 10th through 14th,
right,
2021, all virtual, online.
Yep.
And Glenys and you know, several of our you know, author friends are participating in that, so we're really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I think, as I've mentioned to people before, I've never seen a group of authors support each other so highly as you all do, and so it's just such a thrill to, you know, do conferences like that with you.
Yeah. Oh, they're wonderful. I would definitely, anyone who's listening who's interested at all in writing for children, especially on the progressive side of the Christian wing, you know, interested in nurturing children's spirituality, definitely be on the lookout for that conference, May the 10th.
Good. So what about for more established authors? Any advice for them?
Well, one thing that I always do now, so if you're an established author, then you must have a relationship with your editor, at least your editor, if not your publisher. And so find out what they want. Find out what they want and write it, you know, because, you know, as writers, we're all creatives and we have our ideas, but trends change so fast in the publishing industry. And, you know, sometimes they want bedtime books and sometimes they want Christmas books. So it's really good to find out, ask, what are you looking for? And then you can write it. And the other thing is just to, the same as for aspiring authors, really, keep investing, learning, growing, connecting. Again, I would say attend that conference because you're going to make connections and networks. And the last thing, Brian, really, that I want to say, if you're already an author, is to use your success to encourage others along the way, because I have been the recipient of so much kindness and help and mentoring in my journey. When I first began, Crystal Bowman, who is a wonderful children's author, she edited my first, I hired her to edit my first proposal and my manuscript before I pitched it at a writers' conference. But after that, you know, she agreed to endorse my book, and then she was always available whenever I had questions. So she really encouraged me. I mean, she's an author of over 100 books, but she always had time for me. And so I've tried to emulate that, to pass on what I know to help other writers, because we've all been there. We've all been in the position where we want to get published and we don't quite know how. So I think it's just good to use our success to help others up the ladder.
Well, that's a wonderful approach, I think, Glenys, and you've done so much of that. I mean, I see it all the time on social media that you help out other authors when they're launching their books. And, you know, it's just, like I said, the cooperation, the support within, you know, group of Christian children's book authors that, you know, we're working with is just so outstanding.
Yeah, I have this little mantra when people say, thank you so much, I just put in this together, you know.
Good, 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 good. Well, I
Because
mean,
we are.
yeah, because I mean, if someone learns about, one of your books and then, they see that, okay, here's another one from another author that, maybe isn't, similar approach or whatever, or something that you're recommending, then they're going to go buy that too. Because if they've already bought
Right.
yours and really enjoyed it, and you're recommending someone else's, that's
Yeah.
just a natural follow-up.
Yeah, that's right. So, it's a win-win for everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Glenys, congratulations on this new book. So wonderful to see you so inspired to do these. And, it's so fun to watch, your career progress and all the wonderful contributions that you make. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, thank you, Brian. It was a joy to be with you.
All right. Well, we'll be looking forward. Twas the morning of Easter, and the release date is February 2nd from Zonderkids. So we'll be sure to watch for that.
Thank you.